So we are going to discuss one last main topic in CSS, that's called CSS variables and functions. So let's imagine if we have a div class container, alright, and it has a few paragraphs, alright, and we want these paragraphs to be having a class called card, alright, and these have some texts. So I'll give first paragraph yeah, let's say first paragraph and lorem 10. Actually I'll give some more, right? I'll take this off. Yeah, let's say p class card, second paragraph lorem 20, right? And p class equals card, third paragraph lorem 30, right? So if I save this and then I choose to give my container some background color, and let's say this is the color, alright, and text color is, let's say, Alice blue, alright. There's, let's say, some padding to it, 10px, margin is 10px, right? I save it, then my cards are basically background color white, and I want some padding 10px. If I save it, I head over to this, and then this is what it is looking like. Let's say color is black. I'll save it. This is what it is looking like, right? We'll give it a border radius of 10px. We'll give this a border radius of 12px. This is what it is looking like. Now let's say we give it a grid, right? Sorry, display grid template, grid template columns, repeat 3 of 1fr, right? And I need some gap between them. Gap is, let's say, 10px. Yeah, so this is how the UI is looking like, right? Now one of my main problems here is, let's say we want that the first line here, let's say span class equals important. Actually, instead of that, we'll use strong, alright, and we will take the first line in each of these and put it here, and we'll do that for the rest of them as well. So let's say I add in some text anyway, alright. Now if I open this is what it is looking like. We'll take off some lines here. We'll take off this line, alright. Now ideally what I want is that my branding says that um, these alternate paragraphs should be of one color. Alright, so I can say P first of type and P nth child, P nth last of type, yeah, P last of type should have a background color of this color. Alright, and P nth child nth of type 2 should have a background color of aquamarine. Alright, so this is what it is looking like. But what if I had very complex colors set, right? Like we have a RGB color here, right? Let's say this is my color. Now what I'll have to do is make sure, oh sorry, uh, I don't need this, sorry. So let's say I had a complex color here, let's say this color, right? What I'll have to do is, let's say I had a very long document, I would have to scroll all the way, make sure I copy this color, right? And copy it wherever it is required, right? Let's say I have this color, let's say I have this color, right? Now it becomes very difficult to remember these RGBs, and you will have to, if you have a long document, you have to find it and then figure it out, right? So is there a way that we can give these colors some simple names that we can remember and use it later on, right? So yes, there is a way, which is CSS variables. So for example, I'll go and in my root, I'll define these variables. I will say container color, and I'll take this color and I'll just put it here, right? Then I will go and I'll say para primary. All right, I'll take this color and I'll give this. I'll also say para secondary. I will take this color and I'll put it here, right? Is there any other color left? Yes, we have para, we have card color, and we'll say this is the card color. I want this to be put in here, right? Now what we can do is we can simply go and wherever required in the document, we just have to say var. I think that's how it is used. This is CSS properties. No, we just have to say var. We can say var, and within it I can select container color. I can go here, I can say var, and it's not working because I don't have this, right? I can say this is card color. I can go here, I can say var, this is para primary, and this is var para secondary, and this will work the same way. And the only benefit of this will be that now we have very strong names for very specific colors based on our branding that we are putting in here, right? Now, can you use them in some, let's say other way, right? Like, can you use variables in some other way that you can create some complicated rules for things, right? So let's say in this particular box, and only in this particular box, I need a very dashed border. All right, dashed kind of border, and it could be of any color. And also in this one, I want a dash border of a very specific color. Now here the probable rule is you can go like pick the classes and define your rule, but instead of that you can also do this. So there is something called CSS functions. So if you go to CSS functions, you define a function with at and give it a name, right? So for example, we'll go and we'll create a section for our functions slash functions, and I'll create a function here. So you say add function, it seems that's not how you do it, but I'll try. View problem, it's not recognizing the function keyword. Add function, am I doing something wrong here? Apparently they are very experimental, but we'll see if it works. Alright, and we'll give a function name. So just like you give variable names, you give it something like dashed border, and you can say color, and then under that you can give it some property. Let's say result is 2px dashed 2px dashed var color, right? So what I'm saying is that any container that wants a dashed border of 2px size should use this function, right? So let's try that. Let's say for p first of type, I want a dashed border, right? So how I'll call it, I'll use my border functionality and I'll say dash border, yeah, dashed border, and I will give it a color, let's say para primary, right? And for my p last of type, background border should be our dashed border function, and it should have para secondary, right? So basically what it will do is it's saying for a paragraph which is the first of its type, it needs a border, and what is the value of the border? It calls a function dashed border, so it goes up to dashed border function. Dashed border requires a parameter which is color, so we are giving a color that we are saying is para primary. So it takes the para primary function and puts it into this. So the result is 2px dashed var color, right? If I save it and I go here, no, it doesn't work. I'm guessing this is a very new kind of thing, but I will still ask GPT. So let's say to go to GPT and I'll say I am trying to use CSS functions, but it is not working on Chrome. Do you see errors in my CSS? I'm not sure if I made an error somewhere. So I'll ask GPT if it can figure out the error. Yes, there are errors, but not in your syntax. The entire feature you're trying to use does not exist in CSS. There's no add function or custom CSS functions in real CSS. So yeah, I think this is really new. You kinda can use functions now. I know it isn't the most pleasant feeling to finish reading about a new feature just for the author to say, and we'll hopefully see it in a couple of years. Luckily right now you can use an incomplete version of CSS functions in Chrome Canary behind an experimental flag, although who knows when we'll get to use them in a production environment. Okay, so it's not really available right now, but it's supposed to be. Right, according to Chrome's issue on CSS functions, we are in a super early stage. We cannot use local variables, although I tried them and they seem to work. Use recursive functions, they crash. List arguments, update a function, use function in cascade layers. Okay. I've understood that we currently can't have a return value behind a media or support rule. Okay, so this is something that we cannot be using yet, but I guess in a few years, who knows. But either way, the idea is, again, just to show you guys what it does is a function lets you set some logic, and based on that logic your CSS renders. And yeah, it's a very niche use case. You can kind of add values, or sorry, kind of add functionality to variables, and CSS variables work, but hopefully we'll be able to see CSS functions working. I will link this article in this video so that you guys can go check this experimental feature out and maybe play, because you will have a playground here somewhere. Yeah, there is a code pen here that you can go and play around with. I think it's a very super interesting article, and so yeah, do check it out. It is by CSS Tricks. So okay, I guess we are done, and like I will do one more video on CSS which is about performance and accessibility, and then we will move on to doing our projects.